You're listening to Ernestly Speaking, the only weekly podcast that covers friends, foes, and anything that goes. And now, for your badass host, Ernest Owens. And we're back for another episode of Ernestly Speaking with your host, Ernest Owens, myself. I've had to say that more than one time this weekend. It's been a great weekend. Fall is here. Libra season is here. And I'm feeling all the vibes. I mean, this is my favorite time of the year because, I'm a Libra. And the Libra energy has been strong. It has been in full effect. Fall is here. I'm wearing blazers again. I'm feeling really good. I'm really excited. So I got my nails done. I done something different, and I haven't actually said this anywhere else. I did a powder dip. I'm doing powder now. My nail technician, she recommended it, not because my nails from gel were like diminishing, but because she thought that it would be a good way to enhance, the look of the nail, and it would last longer. But to be very clear, I've had gel for the past year, and my nails, the gel on my nails were lasting long. Like they were lasting for 3 weeks. But she recommended powder. She just said that they're healthier. And even though my nails haven't had any problems yet, she just said if you are doing gel long term, it could potentially cause problems. So now we've transitioned to powder, and I'm loving it. I have to say, I love the way my nails look right now. I have a really sparkly, shimmery gold that went through several layers, but it's immaculate. And I think this is like my favorite look. I always say that every time I get a new set, but this is different. It feels like an Academy Award is like all over my fingers. So shout out to V at the lovely Luxe Nails in University City. They do great nails there. They've been doing my nails for the past year. So I am loving these nails. Got my gold Telfar bag. Yes, the rainbow sale. Your fave made it. Got a gold Telfar coming. It matches these nails. I think these are going to be what I'm going to do for my birthday. I think I'm going to keep them for birthday. Because, the birthday's October 12th. But definitely got the Telfar. That is no joke. Okay, shout out to Telfar. He sold every color of his iconic signature bags. Every single color. Every color of the rainbow. He sold them, every size, everything. And I have to tell you all that within, I want to say about 2 hours, everything was sold out. Everything was sold out. Every size, from small to medium to large, everyone was sold out. Every color. He had, I don't remember how many colors he had. He had all of the colors. And all I really wanted was a gold one. Every other color I saw was pretty cool, but I'm looking at it now. Let me count how many colors he had. He had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 37 colors. All sold out. 37 colors and 3 different sizes. So we're looking at around 111 different bags and different shapes and colors, all sold out. That's how epic this was. Who do you know can do that? Who do you know can do that? It was wild. It was crazy. But I was there. I was a part of that historical moment. Okay, and I had 37 colors. All I wanted was my gold, and I got my gold. And my bestie got a couple of my good friends. Amanda got her black medium because that's what she wanted. My friend Laura got copper. She thought she wanted bronze, but then when she looked at the color, she realized that copper is what she wanted, and she got the copper. Everybody I know got their colors. Everybody who was trying to get their colors and get their bags got their bags. Okay, because I was waiting. It was no joke. I held on, and I made it through. So, super excited. So that's my fall bag. What other stuff is going on for fall? I know it's pumpkin spice latte season, yada yada yada. I mean, all that's cute too. Not all like my fall flavors. It's here and there. But love my nails, love my bag. Um, just excited, and to everybody who, I mean, where do I start? I'll start with everything good because as you see, this episode's about bad things. It's a bad episode, naughty episode. But I want to start off with all the good things. So Lit Brothers was at the Philadelphia Polo Classic. The first time there's anything like this that's happened in Philly. It was in Fairmount Park area in Edgy, I think it was Edgy Woods, I think it was called, or whatnot, Edgy Park or Edgy Woods. But it was in Fairmount Park, and it was very nice. Great time to be had by all. We were super lit. We were there to support Work to Ride, which is this wonderful organization that's getting a lot of, black and brown kids on horses, playing polo and, teaching them how to do stables. It's been around for decades. It's a great organization that's helping a lot of great people. One of the big superstars, his name is Kareem. He showed up, 29 years old. Great guy. He's like an international player, model. I think he's done some Ralph Lauren postures, but he's like a superstar in this field. And I thought polo matches and the whole thing was boring before I did this experience. But I was looking at outside looking in based on how I look on TV. But I must tell you, Josh, Jamarcus, Gio, myself, we had a good ass time. I mean, we had a very, very lit time. We had the whole VIP experience. We had a table. Then we got to go to all the different VIP tents, and the food was incredible. Feast Your Eyes, I believe, was the caterer. Pretty good job. Great bar. It was this polo punch cocktail they was making that, not Feast Your Eyes, but the bartender that had a thing called the polo punch, and that had us tilted. We was just fashionably correct. We dressed right. We actually dressed dapper. We knew the assignment, all three of us, all four of us. We were just going through, having a good time. Just a good, fabulous time. The plan was that we were going to go from like 11 to 2, but we came at like 10:30, got settled, and stayed till like the very end at 4. Like, we really enjoyed ourselves. It was just endless eating and drinking. And it was just the who's of fashion were there. I'm over here sipping my recess because, my goodness, I had to recover for like a night. Because I think part of it was that when you're out in the sun, I think that plays a role. Because when I came home, I hit the bed. I had a nice nap. And then woke up and had dinner. Mr. Johnson had this weekend's edition of It's Not a Restaurant, It's My Home. And he made a Peruvian chicken that was delicious. I mean, spatchcock, the whole 9 yards, fully cooked, flavored, marinade, seasoned. And of course, it was in plantains, and it was a delicious black bean and rice dish, con arroz, refritos, delicious. It was an incredible. He made he made like 3 different sauces. He had like a mango salsa or pico de gallo, and then he made a green sauce that was really nice. And then he had a real hot sauce. Like, I guess like with Peruvian chicken, there's all the different sauces that you try the chicken with. And so he made 3 different homemade sauces, and they were incredible. It was a great dinner. And so next weekend, I think it's my weekend next weekend to cook, and I have to figure it out because I'm also going to a wedding in New York next weekend. Yes, that wedding. I'll be going to it. I'm just going to say this, and it's not about any particular events that I might be going to soon, but I would just say to people that planning is a very important thing. Planning is very important. Planning and execution of events are very important. Making sure that people know what to expect and how to plan accordingly. Not the week before, but more so a month before, so people can know about how to schedule timing. Those things matter. And I'm not talking about any particular event in particular. I'm just talking in general that planning is a very important thing. And so I just look forward to everything. But I will tell you, next week, I'm going to be in New York. starting on Thursday. I'll be there the whole weekend. And then I have to go to the regional Emmys because, I'm on the board of governors for the Mid Atlantic region of the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences. They're having their Emmy Awards next Saturday. So I'm doing Mission Impossible. I gotta come in Thursday in New York for a wedding. The wedding's on Friday. I'm back jets just going Mr. Johnson going straight to back to Philly, switch out, get ready for the Emmys that evening, and then Sunday I'm free. Um but it's like a lot of different moving parts and a lot of things are happening all at once. I love stuff like this, like Mission Impossibles. I mean, it's gonna happen, it's gonna be possible, clearly, but it's just like next week is just gonna be an obstacle course of just hitting the marks and making sure I get through the things. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to just seeing it all. But I'm super excited to see Chicago. Angelica Ross, who's an incredible Black trans actress, is playing Roxy Hart. So if you all are big Chicago fans, the movie, the original movie, but it was a Broadway musical that's been out for over 40 something years. Close to 50 very soon, actually. The revival has been over 25 years of a revival. So I think it's getting close, but it's getting close to 50 years of Chicago. The original Broadway classic, iconic musical, Fosse, Verdon. Do we know this? We should. It's incredible theater. Incredible musical, iconic musical. It's actually, you know what? I can say it's my favorite Broadway musical of Chicago. I know all the songs, even the songs that they don't put in the movie, like Class, but that's all for my Broadway snobs. But I love the musical Chicago. I love the theme, the music, the songs, the vibe. It's just so timely. And so I've always wanted to see it on Broadway. Like that was always a goal of mine. My first Broadway musical I got to see with so many other shows. I never got to it. Mr. Johnson saw Phantom when he was younger. I've always wanted to see different shows, but I've always wanted to see Chicago. And to see it in New York and see it in Broadway, and to have that experience is exciting. And to see a Black trans actress play the character, it's just chef kiss. Perfect timing. We got the best goddamn seats in the theater. I went nuts. I was like, look, I want to do it the real way. We're in the orchestra, third row center. And those seats are like the best damn seats. Everyone's always thinking that the front row seat in a theater is the best. I mean, it's cool, but honestly, if you're talking to real pros, you can sit on the front row and sit at the tail end. That's like the worst seat or a bad seat. It's about where you sit in the middle because you get to see everything center. And also you want to be a little bit back because you want to see some other things. But like if you're not a thespian or somebody who's into theater role, you might get caught up there. That's how the ticket sellers sell you. It's always good to be in the middle. Wherever your seating is in the middle, if you can. And if not, try to be wider. You can sit in different seats if you're wider back, but the closer you are, you want to be in the center. What do I know? I just, I did theater when I was younger. I used to always tell my mom, I said, look, mom, I tell my younger siblings when they used to see me perform, I was like, you got to be, try to go in the center if you want to get, whatever you want to get. Not that you should be taking pictures and using your cell phone. I hate that. Like my inner theater in me, my inner thespian in me, like I was seeing Tina the musical when we had the New York trip. And I remember we were sitting, I think we were like right before orchestra. We was in the mezzanine section. And I remember there was someone with their cell phone that was trying to videotape the scenes because it was Tina the musical. So of course she's singing all her hits and somebody just kept trying to do it herself. I'm like, can you fucking enjoy the show? Like, why is that? Like, I get it now. I get why Patti LuPone snapped in the middle of Company. Like, a show, it's 2 hours, maybe some change. Now, if you're watching, a musical, not musical, but like a play like, Angels in America, which is also a great play. I can see people being frustrated and being like, yo, I mean, you want your intermissions and your breaks. But if it's a musical like Chicago or Tina or any of these other musicals that are roughly 2 hours, like, give it your undivided attention, and think about everybody else who wants to watch it. So it's an interesting experience, but I know they're really big on the cameras and the things like that. And I'm one of those people that's for it because I really want to be focused. But where I'm seated, I think it won't be too many of those problems. So I'm excited. We're excited to see it. We're going to be in New York on Thursday, and then we have the wedding on Friday. And then, I think after that, everything else will be grooving and moving. So just feeling good about New York, making the best. Y'all know how I feel about New York. I come in and I come out. But yes. before I get into the other things, super excited. Thank you to everybody who watched the live taping of Ernestly Speaking, the TV show special, the election special. So for a lot of people who thought it was a 30-minute episode, found out it's a 1 hour special. So we taped for 1 hour. So those who was a part of the Zoom audience who got to see the show and watch the taping, and to those who were a part of the live studio audience, it was great. There's gonna be some fun cameos, some people that you all probably have seen before that's going to make an appearance on screen. Shout out to all the fans of the show who got to be a part of the studio audience, but also got to be a part of the Zoom experience too. Like, both were super great. There was just a very, very engaged group, and I had family and friends from out of Philadelphia who love being able to be a part of that. The show is going to air on October 5th on Philly Cam. More details will come, times and dates, but mark your calendars for that. And there'll be another re-airing on my birthday, October 12th, and there'll be some more up until the election. So it's an election day special. I was very intentional that I wanted this episode to really talk about the upcoming election, get people excited and focused on civic participation and responsibility. So I was very happy that not only was it, I thought the show was going to be 30 minutes, they gave me an hour. So shout out to Philadelphia Community Access Media, which I've had the pleasure of serving on their board for 6 years. I was on their board for 6 years. In the end of my term, I became the chairman. And it's a great space. When I first did Ernestly Speaking, when I did the TV show version initially, before it became the podcast, that was back in 2015. And to now be, the world was so different back then. Oh my goodness, I was like 23 years old. And now I'm 30, and this show is airing when I turn 31. To be able to see a full circle moment, to come back and some of the same people that worked on the original show was a part of production and crew. So like Roland and Gretchen and Debbie and everybody else, Karen was there. All of you all who just was a part of that experience, just thank you so much. Philly Cam is a very important institution to me. Every year I've been doing my birthday fundraiser on Facebook, and it supports Philly Cam. It's a nonprofit. They do public access media work for TV shows and radio, and it's unfiltered. It's great TV. It's not with commercials and corporate. It's a public access channel, and it's very rare. A lot of people. It took a lot of activism and work for over 10 years to get a public access station in Philadelphia, a station that did not have any, political campaign dollars or added commercial dollars controlling the content. This is non-corporate television. And that was something that was important to me when I started my broadcast aspect of my broadcast career. Is like, I love the CNNs and the MSNBCs and all that stuff. Everybody love those channels. But it's something important to have a channel in your television set, right? In your area, that allows for programming that is not tainted by corporate models and fixtures, because so much of the TV you all watch has product placements, advertisements, and sometimes you don't even realize that is integrated into your psyche. And so there has to be television that isn't like that, right? So we have PBS, and PBS is great. We have NPR, WHRY, all these different public aspects, but it should be local. Local is important too. And so that's what makes Philly Cam important, is because there's a local public access channel that is homegrown by a grassroots community that create content that promotes democratic ideals and civic engagement. And Ernestly Speaking is about all of that, as an independent podcast and as a TV show, and it's all those different things. And so I did this special, and it was great. It was wonderful. And I think for the people that was listening that was in person and it was on Zoom, a lot of people didn't know the wonders and the beauties of what Philly Cam is. And so this is what it is. And so if you all want to support, be a member, and support what they do, check them out at phillycam.org. If you want to donate, my birthday fundraiser will be going out on Facebook and going on social in the next couple of days or so. So, stay tuned for that as well. But there's a lot going on, and I just can't wait for the show to come out. It's actually going to come out within 2 weeks. So it's going to be fun. So stay tuned for that. And then also save the date for February 16th, 2023. That's all I can say. That's close to my book. There might be a book kickoff launch for my book. It's going to be Thursday, February 16th. Details, locations, all of that will be coming soon. But for people who, want to, that are big on saving their dates, February 16th, mark your calendar, Thursday, February 16th, 2023. let's say 6 o'clock. Just know that wherever you are, if you're in Philly or if you want to go to Philly, this is the date. That will be the launch kickoff of maybe the book tour in Philadelphia, the kickoff. I'm telling a little too much, but I just feel like I just want to let you know, for those who are about the calendar, save the date. We're less than 6 months away. So just hold that on your calendar, February 16th. It is the day before my husband's birthday. He's an Aquarius, so that might explain how we get along. But I also wanted you all to be in on the fun and make sure you save the date as well. So yeah, February 16th is going to be a good time for sure. And also moving on to other things. So before I get to the hot topics and all that jazz, people noticed a post that I made on it was not on my Instagram. And I may be, look, I might be, talking. I'm not even talking out of turn. This is my podcast. So I'm going to say what I want to say. But I know that there was some questions about a post that I made. There's always questions about a post I made. But it was very subtle. So I'm going to say this because I have to keep it real. I can't, I don't know how to do any other way. So I went to Vauvert this past week. And I love Vauvert. Vauvert has an incredible chef in residencies program that was listed as the best chef residencies program in Philadelphia. A lot of good people have residency programs all across that does them. But Jose Garza does an incredible one in Vauvert every month called the Chef in Residency Program. And it's a great program that takes different chefs from different backgrounds, Black and brown chefs, and he puts them in the kitchen. Like, they get to, create food, and the money and the donations raised to the Garza Foundation also help support them in their endeavors and projects. Some of these people have pop-up kitchens. Some of them are about to start a restaurant. It's different types of groups. So, like, I think about Jennifer Fear Zavala, who's at Guatemala. She was one of the participants. There's also people like Yoon from Little Fish, other different chefs from over with Jezebel's, the chef over there from Jezebel, she also came through and did her thing. So there's different ones. The first Black chef in residency was Chef Big Rube, who has Big Rube's Chicken, I suppose. But he is the first Black chef in residency that kicked off this month and this upcoming season. And I ain't gonna hold y'all. It was not good. It was not good. It was not good. Okay. And I was wrestling with whether I should speak on it, but I got to speak on it. This has nothing to do with Garza, let me just say, because Jose Garza is an incredible chef. He's an incredible chef. And Vauvert is an incredible restaurant. They are an incredible restaurant. But this particular chef in residency, I was not feeling. I just was not feeling. And so normally you all will see Instagram posts of me with the food, the pictures of the food, and me smiling and me being hyped. I could not do it. The recipes and the food was just not good. A lot of people hype up this guy, this chef guy. And I just want to say that you all know when I go out to most restaurants, I'll find something great and I'll post a picture of the food. I couldn't do it. I don't know if y'all ever seen the movie Game Change with, that was about Sarah Palin's race, the HBO Max special. And there's a scene where Sarah Paulson's character, who's working for the Republicans, yes, her character is, and she says, I couldn't do it when she said she didn't vote. And that's how I felt. I couldn't do it. I couldn't post it. I could vote, but in this situation, I just couldn't do it. Because there was just so many things. So first of all, Chef Rube's Instagram account. I don't follow him. I think he blocked me. I think he blocked me from Instagram, which was smart. But this is before the chef in residency thing. I know that his posts were very anti-vax. He was very much against the vaccine. He also had some other interesting hotepish views. And it turned me off. It turned me off from him a while ago. But I was just like to myself, like, how are you anti-vax? And how are you, at the time, he may have changed his views, maybe, but It was just something about his entire presentation of his food. Now, his chicken, from what I heard from folks, that when he was doing the pop ups and he was in the pandemic, the chicken was crunchy, it was hot, it was fresh. Now, if you're doing, fried chicken, it's a certain way you got to do it if you're black. Now, other people can fry their chicken any type of way, but I mean, there's got to be, you just expect something different. Y'all, it wasn't so much that the fried chicken wasn't fried, but the chicken wasn't fully cooked. Now, I have the receipts and the pictures because I can show you when I cut through the wing. Like, I had like I think it was like a half a breast, not a half a breast, a half chicken. I think that's kind of how it was fried. We had a breast. I think we had a breast with a wing. I don't know if you remember we got a thigh, but it was like half of a chicken fried. That was like the way the ordeal went. And it was like a mac and cheese with pimento, which I was like, a mac and cheese with pimento on top. It was just really weird. And the chicken, the mac and cheese, it was like overcooked. It was just not good. The collard greens were like forest green. Not even forest green, because forest green, it was like green, like dark grass green. And y'all know collard greens, when they're seasoned and smoked right, they should have like a very, what's that color? It should be like a forest green, like the way that, like forest green, not like green, but like a olive green. It should have an olive green color. Like the greens that I eat, like when black people say greens, right? The greens are not supposed to be like grass green. They should be olive green. There should be an olive turn, like a brownish, because that means it's been smoked right. It's been, seasoned correctly. These greens, they were a little seasoned, but the color was green. And it was giving like steamed spinach energy. And then, he had this sauce, baby mama sauce that he provided, which they kept saying was going to be spicy. I just didn't get the spice. I was kind of scared to eat it. It was giving me like a cheap mambo sauce energy. But nonetheless, when I cut the chicken, it was red. It was blood. It was still bleeding. And not bleeding as in the fried cool off. It felt like it was fully cooked. Like, how you can, how do I put it? It's like, how they say, like, you're supposed to, to measure the temperature of the chicken. I feel like it was exactly at the temperature. Now, again, when you cook fried chicken, you cook any type of meats, you could do a little, you never want, it's always scary with food thermometers because they might say 160, but they could be off by a little temperature or whatever. You never really want to go exactly on the beam. You want to go a little bit over because you want to make sure that there's just nothing. There's no question. Now, you don't want to overcook the chicken, right? You don't go too much, but a little degrees over. Y'all, the way that chicken was cut, I was scared because it was like super, super white. And it didn't feel like all of it was cooked evenly. Maybe that's what it was. I don't think it was cooked evenly, but it was just not appealing. And like, I'm not the pickiest eater. I'm really not the pickiest eater. Let's be very clear. I am not. But I just have not had an experience like that in a long time where it was just bad. The last time I think about a bad restaurant I went to, and y'all remember the last time I went to a bad restaurant? Well, a restaurant that disappointed me was Sugar Factory, which, by the way, the Sugar Factory in Philadelphia has officially shut down. Now, remember when I told you I took my little brother there and I said them prices were not pricing? Well, they're closed down. They did not last a year, y'all. Because I took my younger brother for his 19th birthday. We went in March. He's a Pisces. And now here we are in September and it is closed down. So yes, it didn't even last a year long. They shut Sugar Factory down. And people thought that it was popping. I was like, something about this is not popping. They didn't even get to make the sign. They didn't even actually create the Sugar Factory sign. Like the sign never got fully done. It was grand opening, grand closing. And you know what? As it is. Because I tell you, Philadelphia will run a chain out. Philadelphia and chains do not get along. You all will run a chain out. There's no Friday. What was it? TGI Fridays? There's no TGI Fridays anymore. I don't even know if the Chili, maybe the Chili's is still open because it's over there by the convention center. But like all the chains, is Applebee's still open? Like y'all run chains out. Y'all done ran Ruby Tuesdays out. And as a Southern Belle, I love me a good chain if a good chain is doing what it's supposed to do. But something about Something about chains in Philadelphia just do not do well. Y'all like bougie, like upscale chains. Like y'all will do a Capital Grill. Y'all love you a basic ass steak. But for whatever reasons, y'all don't really like chains. There is no Burger Kings in Philadelphia. And don't talk about the ones in the subway, no, 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 no. Like, y'all are running them out. Listen, we have to guard the Wendy's on 15th because y'all are running these girls out of town. I remember, listen, Wendy's is all we got. And McDonald's, y'all, McDonald's and y'all are patchy. I don't really do McDonald's like that except for a good McDonald's breakfast. But okay, McDonald's, but there's no Burger Kings. Taco Bell is almost about to be on extinct. The Subways are hidden. There's a couple Subways. But who goes to Subway anymore? I mean, you guys do not like chains. Cheap chains. Or over expensive chains like Sugar Factory. But y'all do not like chains. I will give it to y'all. Y'all have ran out some chains. So, they're closing down. But back to it. I haven't had a bad restaurant experience since then. And I'm so sad because there's good restaurants, right? Like, I used to love Musi. Musi, we had Valentine's Day. It's closing. After 3.5 years they've been open, they're now closing. And it was an incredible restaurant. We just put them in the Best of Philly list. They're closing down. And it was such an incredible restaurant, but they're no longer going to exist. And I really like both of the chefs there, Ari and Kiki. Oh my goodness, they were incredible chefs and good cooks and creative people. But they're no longer going to be here. And then Bar Palais, which is the fried chicken and champagne place. Now, I never was crazy about them from the jump because I just thought champagne and fried chicken in Rittenhouse, they say groundbreaking, I say gentrifying. I was never crazy about them. They closed down. Tria's gonna make something else. Development goes on, and I like Tria. Okay, I like Tria, but like Bar Palais was like they're there for a good time. They're not there for a long time. I was never like super like, oh my god, I have to have this. I was never like nuts about it like that. But there were people who liked the fried chicken and champagne thing, but it just faded, and it was gonna fade because like chicken and champagne, you can only do that so much. And also, like, I mean, I don't know. Depends on who makes the fried chicken. But back to this bad fried chicken I had the other night. I'm just counting down the days. Now, next month, the new chef and resident will be there. I'm told there'll be other Black chefs that will be coming a part of this residency program. So I look forward to them. Some Black women chefs will be in the building. I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to a lot of other opportunities of representation. I think that when this kind of, like, he does soul food, but you know what I think about Philadelphians and soul food? A lot of people in Philadelphia do not know how to make soul food consistently. Okay? The Bynum brothers and Kevin Parker, those are only two people whose soul food I'm going to eat on a regular basis in Philadelphia. Kevin Parker is no longer with us, R.I.P. So all it is the Bynum brothers. Now, I go to Booker's and, kick it with them, but like the only place in this town, like I miss Warm Daddies. I miss some of these other places. It's hard. It really is hard. I mean, now Miss Dawn does catering. Now that's a soul food catering. She's a beast. But like sit down restaurants, it's hard out here to find some good places. It's really hard. Either they have good chicken, but they don't have other good things, or they got good fried fish, but they don't have other things. But consistency is key. And I just was not feeling the consistency from Big Rube. I just felt like everything was just very patchy. And so when I went to the grand opening of the new residency, one of the things that stood out to me about this particular experience with this chef is that most of the other previous chefs and chef residency programs, when they come, they're in that kitchen. They come out, they do their little tour, they talk to the patrons and the guests. Why were there like models, and I put models in parentheses, why were they hanging on ladders, while they were doing the photo shoot? They were doing there were photographers that were not a part of the actual media that was like doing photos of them on the ladders near the wine at Vauvert. Taggy. And this was, of course, Big Rube's entourage and crew. This is nothing on Garza's and the actual people who've been working at Garza's and Vauvert. This is not them. This is literally somebody who got a big break and opportunity and was doing themost.com. I was very much like, what is going on? And I could not keep my face. They came to me. They said, was the food good? My facial expressions. I was just like, So I did do something nice. I posted on my Facebook that the drinks here were great, and someone comments. I think it was my husband's attorney. She comments and she goes, "How about the food?" And I said the cocktails were great, and that's what I said. And she peeped it. Okay, if I tell you that a restaurant is great, now let me be clear. Vauvert as a restaurant outside of this particular chef in residency, Vauvert is a great place. And I encourage people to continue to go to Vauvert because Vauvert was one of the first places Mr. Johnson and I went on a really expensive date. We did like 12 courses with their 12-course menu off their original menu. What I will tell you is that you can still go to Vauvert this month. There are other options on the menu that is not by this chef because the fried chicken, y'all, is tempting. It was tempting. And I was like, oh, I gotta do chicken. And you remember, I'm the steak person. Mr. Johnson's the chicken person. For some reason, Mr. Johnson said that night he was going to get fish. For whatever reason, he did not want to get involved and get chicken like you normally do. Because, him and steak, he's always like very particular about everything else. But he was just like, I'm going to do the fish tonight. And I was like, okay, all right. So let me go ahead and do the chicken. So we was going to, I guess, land and see it. Not surf and turf it, clearly. So we do this. And of course, the fish was better. But the fish was not a dish that was by Big Rube. Because with the resident menu, they have a tasting menu, you can pick different entrees. So when you go there, two or more entrees is by the chef in residence and then also by Vauvert for those who don't partake. The fried chicken option is by Chef Rube. Do not do it. He also has a pasta dish that they say is spicy. But I need to stop, listen, and this is just the real rap. I don't take white people's advice on what spicy is. Unless you are like Moroccan, you cook different foods, you Indian original, like you make chicken tikka masala, what spice is. But I don't take white people's advice on what's spicy, white Americans on spicy. Because anything with a little bit of kick, I don't want to say a kick, but anything with flavor, and they're like, oh my God, it's super, super hot. I'm like, was it hot though? Was it? I'm just saying. I sometimes have to, try my own experiences. Like, if it don't have any cayenne in it, then what are we talking about? If there's no cayenne pepper or powder or anything in it, I don't want to hear the word spicy. If there's no cayenne in the mix, like ginger. Okay, ginger has spice, but not that kind of spice. Not burning your tongue spice. Chili peppers. Any chili pepper seeds, something. Give me something to work with when we're talking spice. Because people say the word spicy, and I'm just like, y'all, that was seasoned salt. But different strokes, different folks. So, moving into our hot topics and everything's been going on. Because this episode is about bad men, bad films, bad politics. It was some bad things that happened this week. There was a lot of bad things. And not some of the bad things are not bad. Well, they're bad, but not end of the road bad. But, just some bad things that has been going on. So let's get into it. Before I do, let me just reiterate the importance of getting a vaccination. Y'all, I've been going to a lot of media events lately. And it's like playing Russian roulette sometimes when you go out. Because a lot of people, I don't know if the new COVID strand, not new COVID strand, but the BA or whatever has hit Philly the way it hit New York a couple of weeks ago, months ago. I don't know. But it seemed like the past 2 weeks I think things are getting back on track, but it seemed like a lot of people were out of commission. Like I was going to some events and it was feeling a little emptier than normal. And I was like, okay, what's going on? Do people not want to try food anymore? Like what's happening out here? Well, come to find out, people were just getting hit by the COVID bug. A lot of people were under the weather. People were just getting COVID at the last minute. And people just out here getting COVID still. It's still out here. Now, people are recovering and getting better and getting well. But, it's like, damn, what's happening out here? So, COVID is still out there. A couple of my friends are getting boosted who can qualify to get the booster. Because that if you've gotten COVID within 3 months, you're not supposed to get the booster. And that's a really big deal. So you cannot get the booster while you are, while you've done with COVID. Even if you are no longer have COVID, you can't get, they don't recommend you get the booster right after you got COVID because your immunity and is pretty much solid. It's protecting you actually. You build good immunity from it. So you're not supposed to. But for people like myself who've never gotten COVID, and that's a wooden table I just knocked on, you do not want to get it. Try to avoid it as much as you can. Get that new booster and get a flu shot. It is now fall. Get you a flu shot. Okay? Get yourself a flu shot. There's no exceptions. There's none of that. Get it done. Get boosted, people. Okay, get your shots. It is no joke out here. So, let's get into bad men, because there's been some bad men happening out here. There's some bad men out in the world. And I'm just really disappointed. So let me just stop. Y'all already know who I'm about to talk about, because what the fuck? Ime Udoka. I could be butchering his name, but who cares? Because after this week, I don't want to say his name again. This man, sat up here and was dating Nia Long, dating her. They were engaged for 7 years. And we're going to get on this engaged for 7 years situation. He was a coach for the Boston Celtics, or is still a coach for now. But he was a coach. He's a coach for the Boston Celtics. Dated Nia Long for 10 years. They were engaged for 7 years. So I heard. She moved her family, relocated her family, herself and her 10-year-old son, to Boston to support him. She was giving basketball wives teas. And Nia Long, if you don't know, well, first of all, anyone who does not know who Nia Long is on this show, you can just Google. We're just going to Google because she's legendary. She's iconic. Okay. She is Miss Love Jones. She is, every dreamy Black woman on every famous iconic film. Okay. Black film. I mean, Friday to oh my goodness, The Best Man, to everything. I mean, Love Jones. I mean, everything. She's iconic. Nia Long is iconic. And she also played the voice of Pocahontas' friend in the animated Disney movie Pocahontas. Nawoma, the woman who was Pocahontas' friend. Nia Long was the voice talent for that. Okay? Did y'all know that? Fun fact. Nia Long is everywhere. She's incredible. She's gorgeous. She's a heartthrob. And she's fabulous. She's just, Nia Long is Black America's sweetheart. Whenever you want to know, I would even put her in Julia Roberts. She's like the Black Julia Roberts. White folks love, look, everybody loves Nia Long. I don't know anyone who does not like Nia Long. Who's beefing with Nia Long? She's gorgeous, she's talented, she's nice, she's thoughtful, she's intentional. She's just an incredible spirit. I don't know anyone who does not like Nia Long. She's just, again, Black American sweetheart. On some, the way that we say, white America sweetheart is, Julia Roberts. She's like that. The same age, time in the game, clearly, she deserves and deserves more roles where she gets to be an incredible actress. She can do comedy, she can do drama. Nia Long is just everything. Okay? Just let's be clear. So, moving along, she dates this guy, and during when the Celtics were making it in the playoffs and killing and doing good, this Black coach, he seemed like a nice guy. Everybody saw him and Nia. She was going to the games. I mean, they were looking like a good couple, both of them. I remember tweeting about her having a boo and how this was a cute little couple, and we all thought the world until this week. So this week, news came out that he was going to be suspended indefinitely based on having an improper relationship with a female employee connected to the team. Now, there was a mystery game. Who is the woman? Because everybody was trying to figure out who the woman is, and no one still knows. There's several Black women who work at the Celtics, so people thought it could be a Black woman, it could be with this white woman, and no one knows, but they're playing guessing games. Speculation is that this is a woman who does the traveling, bookings, and whatnot. That's what we later found out, allegedly, that it's the woman who does the traveling, and there's been other rumors, allegedly, that there is, some dating on the side, this maybe some pregnancy rumors in the mix and different things. But what we have heard, the Celtics have rolled this out pretty messy. I must say, there's a lot of ambiguity on how they rolled this out. My whole thing was, and there's been some debate about, Stephen A. Smith and other sports people weighing in. So before I get into the meat and potatoes of some of the stuff that's being said, I just want to say that on a media standpoint, as a journalist that's been following this, not covering it, at least not yet, at least I have no intention to cover it, but I've been following it. And the way that they had put out the information, just pieces by pieces, it just was sloppy. Because it was like, you're saying he's suspended. Okay, so it's not enough for him to be fired. So then they said it was a relationship. So then we assumed, okay, if he's not fired, it must have been consensual. Because if it was clearly rape or anything of that nature, oh, absolutely, he would be fired, and he should be also having other legal ramifications. But that wasn't what we heard. And so I was sitting there like, okay, well then it looks like he must have just stepped out of his relationship. But then more details have emerged that the situation in question is that he made improper comments and things, like apparently had an affair. The team knew about it allegedly back in the summer. They knew about it. Meanwhile, Nia, did not know about this. And that pretty much the team knew. There was efforts, I guess, to try to downplay this and massage it. But he, continued to do what he was doing, dumbass, referring to Ime. And then eventually there was an investigation, and all this stuff was going down. And meanwhile, Nia relocated her child, got him acclimated in Boston, did all this readjusting, and all this came down the pipeline that they was going to go public with this information this week. And so she found out allegedly when everyone else did around the same time frame, and was given little preparation, even though she had readjusted her life. And he kept this all hidden in a secret and all of this. What the fuck? This is fuckboy central. Like, are you kidding me? It's just so sad. And there's conversation about, does she feel embarrassed? All this type of stuff. There's been a lot of circus around it, which I mean, arguably so. I mean, again, she is Black America's sweetheart. But there's just a lot of questionable things, which really broke a lot of people's heart. And I'm just struggling with all the things that's happening right now. Like, why could this happen? Like, how could this happen? What's going on? But to make matters worse, during this time, there were some people showing their ass. And I gotta call this Democrat out, okay? He's running for Congress. He's a congressman. His name is Jamal Bowman in New York, okay? Dr. Jamal Bowman. Well, Congressman Jamal Bowman. Well, he made a post on Twitter that said, quote, with a picture of her looking very good. Nia Long looks gorgeous. And he shares this picture with this tweet, and it goes, quote, sending nothing but love to Nia Long. We're not letting a man who didn't recognize the luxury her presence was dim all her beauty and glory. Matter of fact, we need a Nia Long national holiday! Explanation point. Now, end quotes. Now, the internet went in, okay? Black Twitter, including myself, was like, tacky, okay? We called it tacky. Because we found out, okay, Mr. Bowman is married. Congressman Bowman is married, okay? He's in District 16, right? Lifelong educator, former middle school principal. He says he's causing good trouble on his Twitter. Fighting for jobs, education, not bombs and incarceration. Clearly you're fighting for Nia Long's heart. I thought it was thirsty. And a lot of other people read it as thirsty as well. But something about it was just like, what's going on? You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people thought it was tacky and was saying to him, not you shooting your shot, because he's also married, which also was a cringy. Okay? So then he goes, in response back, was like, ha ha ha, y'all hilarious. Y'all do know it's okay for a man to show a woman love and support without shooting his shot. That's actually a thing. Now that was clever, Jamal. But, brother, okay. Like, there's support and then there's support. Because y'all know how this goes. Y'all know how this goes. So I'm looking at some of this stuff, given that it's wild and everything that, you know, all the things that's happening right now, I just was like, that's an interesting set of tweets. But I don't know. We'll see what it's giving. But I'm for now, I'm like, But the most important part, and really focusing on um everything that happens with I guess Nia Long. I just hope that this does not become the focus of her and the rest of her career. I don't think it is, but I just think that it's clearly a lot, right? That this is playing out dramatically in front of everyone's face. And everyone's doing the whole, what about Brett Favre? Which I agree. Like this guy, Brett Favre, who is this, longtime sports, leader, right? And big name, was out here rigging the system in Mississippi, which is one of the poorest states in the country, actually. And, being a welfare queen, Brett Favre, right? Who was out here scamming the system. And now charges have been filed, investigations have concluded. And this man is an entire criminal. This man, really took advantage of innocent people and their finances. That's like fucked up. And I just think it's sad because a lot of people don't recognize how serious this stuff is. Like how, scamming people out of money in the system is not okay. Like, it's not okay. You can't just be walking around here just taking welfare. But a lot of people say, well, we should be focused on that and not the situation with Ime. Both need to be handled and both talked about. But let's be clear that, now that we know that there might have been a situation of power, people say, why couldn't he sleep with his employees or what's with the friend? There's a power dynamic, y'all. And it never ends well. So clearly there was consensual behavior between both adults, which already was what it was. But then he took it a step further, allegedly, to pursue her and other things. And apparently that's what led to the problem and the suspension. So he's apparently suspended for a year. And so definitely, I think at the end of the day, with all the stuff that's coming out and being said and the embarrassment is to the team, he's probably going to end up leaving the team altogether. But, it's a man's world. And so as much as we think he might suffer consequences, I mean, will he? We'll see. But this is very embarrassing. And Nia Long says like she supports her fans and friends, family support. She wants this time to deal with these issues privately and whatnot. And I agree. I love her. I just hope she does well. Speaking of men not doing well outside of Brett, outside of Ime, what is this shit with Adam Levine? Apparently, Adam Levine has been having a whole affair. But let me back up before I get to affair. Because I said something earlier, and this caused debate on Twitter about this. Nia Long and him were dating for 10 years. Apparently, they were engaged for 7 years. I don't understand people who are engaged longer than 5 years. I mean, that was longer. They were engaged longer than, they were engaged. She was a fiance longer than she was a girlfriend. If you're in a situation where you've been married, you've been dating someone for a long time, and you become a fiance longer than the relationship itself, that to me is a red flag. I don't know whose red flag it is. I don't know whose fault. I'm not trying to point fingers or anything. But I do feel like having that much, time. I mean, that's a long ass time, y'all. Like that's a minute, y'all. Like 7 years engaged. I mean, was it a consistent relationship? Was it on and off? I mean, that's just a lot. And I mean, what's also sad about this situation is that she was with him for such a long time. And like this man had all this going on and there was trust that he violated. I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't want to say that, people say, well, open relationships in sports could exist. You're right. Like, why do we always assume monogamy? And let me also say this too, since I'm on this talk box, or this soapbox about this particular issue, is that everybody does this, everything. Everyone always do the whole, Nia Long is so beautiful. How can she be cheated on? I just want you to understand that beauty and talent does not automatically guarantee monogamy from a partner. An insecure partner will do insecure things. And so we should not be looking at her as if her her personality should be whatever keeps the man faithful. We need to stop doing that. There is nothing like, we tell people, well, she's near alone. Who would cheat on her? As if anybody else is worthy of being cheated on or whatever. My whole thing is whether the person deserves to be cheated on, quote unquote, or not. To me, honestly, no one deserves to be cheated more than you need to liberate yourself out the relationship. If you're going to be cheating and doing all of those things, okay, and violating the respect of the person that you're with, then you don't need to be with them. And people are in those relationships don't have to be. Now, again, cheating means different things to different people based on the nature of their relationship and setup. Now, in this relationship, in this marriage I'm in, okay, there is nobody else sleeping with nobody else outside of each other. All right? Let's be clear. Over here, that's mine. But I'm not judging people who have different relationships. There are other people who have very non-traditional relationship setups that are not monogamous. There's like, look, we have understandings, but we need to be honest about those situations and also be clear about them. I know people who have those understandings with their partners, and they've been able to maintain a long, healthy relationship based on those type of surroundings. But if you're not communicating to your partner about the different dynamics of your relationship and you all have a mutual understanding, that sets up a recipe for disaster. And a lot of people think that it don't, but listen. To be honest, I've never been somebody personally that felt like I need to be in an open relationship personally, because of the fact that I feel like if I'm dating multiple people, that's a lot of time. I don't have that much time. Listen, I'm maintaining the time I have with the partner I have currently. I mean, when I was being single was annoying, was stressful. I have to keep it to you. For me, listen, everybody's different. I'm speaking from my experience, because there's a lot of people that will say, oh, look at Ernest judging folks. I am not judging anybody. To each your own. But this is Ernestly speaking. This is Ernest speaking. I just had a couple of things I want to share. Being single for me was like, I don't know. I am not a single person. I learned how to be okay being single. Okay, like if I have to be single, I have to be single. But like, I just was someone who wasn't. Well, let me be clear. Let me back this up, because single don't automatically mean you're out here dating. Let me backtrack a little bit. I had no problem being single. I think being single and dating, the dating atmosphere was sometimes annoying, because the influx of just always having to meet different people and, having to like reopen yourself and having to, get back out there, and, there's duds along the way. That's kind of frustrating. So I would say, being someone who's been in a long-term relationship for many years, I like the fact that I don't have to, I think about when I was dating, how many different people I had to meet, how many different frogs I had to kiss, how many different, this person had a big heart, but they had a small, all of the different things that would just fuck up my psyche. And like, I have single friends and they're out dating, and, they be telling me their horror stories, and I'll be like, damn. And it'd be like, one thing be promising, and I'm like, ooh, I'm rooting for you, bestie, you got this, and then something else just comes along, you be like, damn, so it's rough. It is rough. So I say all that to say that if I was in an open relationship mentally, I just couldn't do it, because I'm just like, I don't have time to deal with other people outside of Mr. Johnson. I just have no interest. Like, the energy, the time, like I have between friends, the career, everything. I don't know if I would just have no room for no one else. Like, where in my time? Like, where would I have time? And then if you think about sex, it's like you have to have the energy and the stamina to like be top tier for another person. You got to give another person a groove. Like, I feel like riding a car. Like, I don't know how to drive, so maybe I'm talking out of my lane as a pedestrian. But I will say that if you're in a car, right, and it's your car, because I this is what I do remember. You got your seat adjusted a certain kind of way. Your seat's adjusted away, your hands, the way that the wheel, you have your shit right. If you let somebody else ride your car while you, whatever reason, they would have to adjust the seat differently. Everything about the seat and the adjustment would have to be different. And then when a person switches out, they have to adjust it again. That's how I describe my body having sex with two different people. Everybody's body is different, and your chemistry and your flow is different. And so everybody is not going to do you the same, literally, or you do them the same. However you like, it will be different, adjusting. emotionally and mentally and physically. At least that's how I have to. Like, I am a passionate lover. I don't know how to just like lay there. Like I would have to adjust my mental psyche, even my legs. I have height, so imagine if you was changing it up. You have to tune up a different. I don't know. Mentally, the experience would be just so much. Like, you have to change and adjust. And there's certain things you do in certain situations, and then you have to adjust for that person. I just would be swinging bodies. It'd be hard. It'd be hard. It would be hard. So, as somebody who was single years and years ago, that was the one thing that annoyed me, was that I would have to adjust. And what if that person, the other person, wasn't doing the things the other person was doing? Or they'd tell you that they got different hangups. And, consent is important. So everybody, got different boundaries. That would be annoying. One person say they kiss, one person don't kiss. One person, likes to, and another person doesn't. One person only likes a disposition, the other one don't. That's why you gotta get you a car that has all the adjustables and get you one good car that you don't have to have problems with. It's hard, Could you imagine having to readjust everything? I think those are the hangups to me about open relationships. Because I just don't have the patience or the time or the energy to have to adjust and readjust all aspects of my emotional self and body. That's a lot of juggling. It's a lot. But to the people that know how to do it and do it well and can be a chameleon and navigate that, you got it. You got it. You got it. But clearly Adam Levine should not be having it. So Adam Levine, let me get on his ass. Maroon 5 lead singer. Maroon 5, man, they've been around. I remember when they used to be really hot back in the day. They like become the Nickelback of pop music. And Nickelback, I don't like bashing Nickelback. I enjoy some of them old Nickelback. This is how you remind me of where I really am. And I like to. Listen, that was my shit. That was my shit. Okay, you couldn't tell me anything about that song. You play that right now, that used to just, listen, I was in a vibe. That was a mood, okay? Yes, you play them, you play some Nickelback. Listen, I understood why they were popular. Maroon 5, they have their grooves. They get a little corny every blue moon, Maroon 5 do. Some of that stuff is a little cringy. But they have some good stuff. This Love is still a hit, still a bop. Moves Like Jagger. I like Moves Like Jagger. That is still a bop. But, they got some songs. She Will Be Loved. Oh my goodness. She Will Be Loved was my shit too. But anyway, Adam Levine out here, it looks like he is allegedly, but I think he kind of admitted to it, but allegedly was cheating on his wife with some TikTok influencer who spilled the beans in the receipts. Y'all, these girls do not care. She wanted everybody to know what was going on. Apparently, he asked to name the baby after the baby having his wife. He told her he was considering naming the child after her. I'm confused. Not you getting your baby, okay, your daughter, your future born daughter is sitting here looking like, now why am I in it? So you was about to name your daughter after the mistress. That is the sus thing. See, white people be cheating like on some other type shit. Now, I don't know no brothers that would do nothing like that. I don't know. There's a couple. Look, Ime out here wilding. Okay, this that shit where you eat. Why do people listen, I cannot make sense of people who lack common sense, so I'm not even going to try. Let me leave it alone. But that's ridiculous. Like, I cannot. Apparently, he's trying to backstrap and say that it wasn't I think Adam Levine is like saying that he acted improper, kind of like what Justin Timberlake did with Jessica Biel. And I don't know what their marriage is doing, but like, it's all these men out here cutting up because there were pictures of Justin Timberlake holding another woman's hand. This is a while back, but then again, Justin Timberlake is trash regardless on this show. But all of that, like, what are y'all doing? So the men out here not right. And speaking of other men that are not right, because I just have to say this, I thought we was not with him since last year. The Baby is back in the news. The Baby who had to cancel his concert because it failed to sell tickets. He couldn't sell tickets to his show, so he had to cancel the show. So The Baby being canceled is a real thing. It's happening, y'all. It's happening. I'm proud of y'all. You're doing lovely. But apparently you're not doing lovely enough because The wild part with him is that he just dropped a new song, a song that none of us probably heard, a song that would not chart. I mean, remember when there was a moment when everyone was like really crushing over the baby? I thought he was a cute little elf at one point. And everybody was like, his music was hitting. People was calling him the next like Nelly or Ludacris because of his humor, his fun, and he just seemed like he was just different. Yeah, that was a delusion. Come to find out now, he's just have been flop after flop after flop. So he had a new song talking about that the night before Meg Thee Stallion was shot by Tory Lanez, he and Megan had an intimate sexual relationship the night before. Tacky. First of all, no one cares. It was several years ago. I mean, I don't know if it's even true. I don't know if I even believe him because everybody's lying around that situation except Meg. I believe Meg Thee Stallion. I believe that she did get shot by Tory Lanez, and it shouldn't take what happened to August Alsina because let's be clear that leprechaun attacked August Alsina. The only person probably happy about that is Will Smith. Listen, that's another story for another day. And I will say that, as far as these entanglements go, August Alsina be mind his business. He got a chronic illness, and this man's attacking him. Why would you like the baby likes to attack people that are vulnerable, Black women, people with disabilities. Like, why would you bother this man? All because apparently he didn't dap him up during they were outside, at an event, and he didn't dap him up or something like that, and it was a whole fiasco. So there was drama around that. Turn off. But again, he apparently attacked him. Tory Lanez did. Allegedly. And they took Tory Lanez off of the tour, so there must be some smoke and some fire where it's at. But backtracking to the issue, the baby is kissing and telling. Allegedly. Let's just say for 5 seconds this was true. That's what you have to bring to the conversation. Now you need salaciousness to get streams and people listen to your music. How pathetic. Trash. So let's get into more trash. Bad politics before we get to bad films. Let's talk about some bad politics. First of all, Trump is getting sued. Trump and his immediate family, not little Tiffany. They keep leaving little Tiffany out. Tiffany Trump went to the University of Pennsylvania, y'all, Penn alum, just like her father. She went to Penn around the same time that Mr. Johnson did. And I must say that it's been very interesting seeing how little Tiffany Trump and her flop music, she tried to be an artist and they got rid of there was a whole article about how she had to be a singer and she dropped a single and Under the Bud of the Story and they have erased everything about it. But she had a little single that she put on iTunes and it just didn't do too well. But she wanted to be a musician or she danced around with music when she was a freshman several years back. But anyway, Tiffany Trump has been staying out of the headlines. I mean, she's been staying out of drama. She's not connected to the lawsuit. But all the younger Trumps, the brothers, the sons, and Ivanka, who is the daughter, they're connected to a lawsuit. They're being sued by Leticia James, who is accusing them of running scams and doing fraudulent business practices. This has nothing to do with the insurrection, you all. But remember I told you all that the one person that was going to get them in some heat is Leticia. Leticia, AG, okay? I've been telling y'all, watch out for Tish James. I've been telling y'all that I think she's going to be the one that's going to get them in. But everybody keeps, worried about what the Fed's going to do. Look, the Fed's going to Fed. But Leticia, that's a Black woman. That's an AG that I trust in. And I think if she nails down the Trumps, we're going to see her as the next governor of New York. And maybe somewhere else in office. I really like her. I've been loving her. She was my person of the year last year. She was my national, politician of the year last year for just the ongoing work she did last year. And she has not disappointed me. Leticia James is now suing Trump. Bad politician, bad politics, but love her move. Excited about that. Excited about this. Excited about what can happen from this. Okay, now we got to see what old boy gonna do in New York, that Manhattan district attorney. Okay, what he gonna do? Because, he been disappointing me over there. I don't know. He's been, apparently wasn't, it's been really interesting. He's a Black guy over there, the DA of Manhattan. And a lot of people have been, wondering, is he going to take a stand? Is he going to really put his foot down? And I have not heard nothing yet. But Alvin Bragg, who's the Manhattan district attorney, People have been looking at him if he's going to really pursue Trump on criminal type of charges. We'll see. But what we do know is Letitia James have found reason to get into him and get into Trump and his family. So we'll see what happens next. But other news in bad politics, Dems flip-flopping all around. Now let's be clear. Fetterman has been going to Philadelphia, had a big rally in Philadelphia. Couldn't go because I was at the Philadelphia Polo Classic. And to be quite honest, I've seen Fetterman, and Fetterman, I have no issue. It was interesting to see moderates show up for him. State Representative Darisha Parker. Darisha Miller's her maiden name, but Darisha Parker is state rep, who was a Conor Lamb supporter during the primary. They're showing up. Congressman Dwight Evans showed up. A couple other state reps and others who were very much so not really showing up for Fetterman are now big fans of his, which I think is a good thing because Democrats need to unite and get shit done November 8th. I just cannot emphasize enough that November 8th is a really big deal, and I really don't care about any more mayoral candidate stuff until after November 8th. The audience, the crowd, when we filmed the show this weekend, I would say let's take a pledge that we will not care or discuss this until November 8th. So I'm really gonna own that unless there's something salacious that really, really juicy happens between now and then. But I just care about the November 8th elections. Y'all need to make sure that y'all are voting, that y'all registered, that y'all show up to those polls, because we really need to get some real change here, for sure. But let me tell you about the flip-floppingness and some of the other weird things that took place. Chris Rabb, a progressive state rep. Chris Rabb is somebody who I like. I like him overall. I think he's a good guy. I think that, he has definitely pushed up and bucked up against the establishment in the Northwest. The Northwest Coalition hates him. And the Northwest Coalition has Dwight Evans. It has Sherrell Parker, who's council member Sherrell Parker. No longer mayoral candidate Sherrell Parker. She's no longer in city council. Let me be clear. Derek Green, who's no longer a city council member, he is now a mayoral candidate as well. Miriam Tasco, former city council woman who many people thought she would be a mayor. She is a part of the Northwest Coalition. This group of political elites, now they have a new person, a part of the Northwest Coalition, which is Anthony Phillips, who's going to be running to replace Sherrell Parker's seat and will win a special election November 8th, and he'll be a city council member. Fun fact, he was in Mr. Johnson's wedding party for our wedding. He was in our wedding. We've known Mr. Phillips for a long time, over a decade. He knew me when I was in college. He leads a really great organization called Youth Action, and we're actually good friends. Now, you're probably wondering to yourself, how can we be friends and he's with the Northwest Coalition? Well, he lives in the area. He's a black man that's a millennial. And, to be honest, I don't live in the Northwest, so I just look from the side. I just look at some of the things going on. And, we'd be like, man, the best way I'm in, partner, over there. But he as a person is good. And I'm excited to see, he'll win the special election, because he'll have the Democratic nomination. But I look forward to seeing, if he's going to help work to transform it. And, for what it's worth, if you want to listen to what some other folks around town think about establishment politics, we'll see. But I say all this to say that Chris Rabb, the Northwest Coalition, has tried their hardest to not have Chris Rabb have a seat. And he's been a gun-ho progressive, and everybody knows where we stand. Now, in this Senate situation, he endorsed Malcolm Kenyatta for the seat. He was backed by the Working Families Party. You remember that whole fiasco with Working Families Party because, save a note because there's a full circle moment that's about to take place in just a few minutes about the Working Families Party. But he was endorsed by them. He's always been a renegade. He's not a Working Families Party candidate full party. That's only Kendra Brooks, and who's a city council member at large. Rabb is a Democrat, but he is like an outsider to the Democratic Party. He's a progressive, and the Democratic establishment is not crazy about him. They don't endorse him. They always endorse people running against him. That's just how the game is played over there in the Northwest and other places. But he made a decision that got people scratching their heads. So last week, Dr. Oz made a Philadelphia tour. That was very controversial. I mean, he was out here in Kensington taking people who were recovering from addiction, taking them to facilities to get help. Just problematic trips. And there's speculation about how he's dealt with people that have struggled with addiction. Note that I'm not using the word addict. It's it's politically incorrect to use the word addicts or call people addicts or drug addicts anymore. So you use the term struggling with addiction. To label them as an addict is to put them in that place and label them in that place versus we don't believe that people are the things that have consumed them rather than, unless they're racist. Okay, that's just what it is. But rather than they in this situation when you're dealing with mental health, people who struggle with addiction. So these are people who are still people. Okay, when we say addicts, you're putting a different connotation there. So I say people struggling with addiction. So if you hear that, that's what I mean. But he was basically, doing some things, really trying to frame Krasner as the ultimate bad guy, shit talking Krasner, all that kind of stuff. Talking about, if you have Fetterman, there won't be law and order, yada, yada, yada. But what's so funny about his trip over to Kensington to help people who were struggling with addiction is that the type of law and order politics that he's preaching would not actually take these people to get actual help. What it would do is have police come out and criminalize and over police and arrest these people and put these people behind bars. So his politics are just like all over the fucking place. He's a walking fucking hypocrite. But he comes to Philadelphia with that nonsense. But before he do, he has this community forum that was a invite-only community gathering. Now that is oxymoronic. There is no such thing as a community event that is invite-only. How do you have an invite-only community event? But of course, he has some interesting people, some black Republicans and conservatives that are basically in this event, and they're having a conversation about policing and safety in the district. So Chris Rabb, who's the state rep, now what I've heard is that he is not the state rep of that district. Stephen Kinsey is. But for whatever reason, Rabb uses as an opportunity to make an appearance, and he was able to usher himself to be a part of the panel. And so when photographs ran that he was there on the same platform with Dr. Oz, everyone was like, wait a minute, why is your ass there? Like, what is there to do? And he was saying, he wanted to come to the event to talk about the issues and to hear different opinions. And it's like, bro, you ain't trying to hear no different opinions. What kind of stunt? But it was a stunt that backfired because pretty much he said that while he was there, he ripped up a Dr. Oz sign when the cameras rolled, and that, he was disgusted about what he heard and what he saw. And then a statement rolled out by Fetterman's camp. Right, Fetterman put out a press release talking about Chris Rabb's appearance at the event and was just basically saying, he was just saying that, he supports Fetterman 100% and that Dr. Oz is no good, blah, 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 blah. Honestly, I think that it was a stunt that backfired. I think that the plan was that everyone just thought that Rabb was going to be there as an insurgent to come and then disrupt and then, kind of say as a black, elected official that, Oz's politics are not good politics, whatever. But the issue is that Rabb was the wrong person for that because everybody knows Rabb's politics. And Rabb is like very, very extremely progressive. Like to even model or give off the presumption that he would be there to hear the perspectives. And the fact that a black man who, black men in politics, they don't get to play the same games that like a Helen Gim can play or other non-black elected officials can play. They can't play those types of games and stunts. It just does not work. And so I sometimes feel like in these political campaign strategies that we sometimes ignore the power of privilege in them, right? That while I get what the idea was about, it just never landed well because there's already this presumption that black men, especially black Democrats, are permeable to entertaining the other side in ways that can sometimes ultimately hurt their own party. I mean, look at Biden. Biden dances with Republicans at times and have definitely played the bipartisan game or tried to believe into it. So a lot of people would be upset, to see people like Chris Rabb, who's a gun-ho progressive. Nobody believed it. But it just, the stunt in it all, I mean, at the end of the day, everybody realized, yeah, Rabb was supporting Oz, but their mindset was like, why was you there? Why did you even pretend? Why did you even play like you would? Like, it was stupid. And so consequences were made and people made certain decisions and certain stuff came into the loop. It came out. And now we're in a situation where now we're wondering, what's the future? And I can't hold you. I was personally shocked to see it. I was personally shocked to see him there. Because you all know I would not be there. I don't know if I would have been there. I don't know if I would have. Maybe I don't know. I would have been on the panel. Let me be clear. I would have been on the panel, but I could see myself being there for the cover of the drama. But I would have not wanted to be on the panel sitting there as elected official. I will tell y'all this. Before I did the podcast back in 2016, some people might remember this in Philadelphia, but there was a room where a lot of black elected officials, well, let me backtrack that. There were no black elected officials. It was black leaders, quote unquote, that had a meeting with Trump in a building. We found out the building, and it was a lot of black people that was in that room, and they met with Trump. One was a former football player, a couple of ministers. It was really bizarre, but it was a group of black Democrats, and not Democrats. It was a bunch of group of black, quote unquote, leaders that met with Trump, and they met in a building, and everybody was out there protesting, and it happened in North Philly, and I was there covering it. And I think we could never find like Trump. They didn't know where Trump entered, but like it was a bunch of like clearings. But I remember when people were chasing down any black person that came out that building, and it was wild how they were like ducking for cover, trying to run to their cars and get Ubers. It was just very crazy. And I was out there all day. It was in the heat, in the sun. Those were the days. I mean, just covering. I mean, the year 2016 and 2017 will always go down in my head as the year of me in shorts, running in the heat outside, covering every single protest. That was the years of protest. That era, like I can't even, like mentally, I just don't cover protests anymore, like in person on the ground. Like I am so like checked out of it, of that experience. Like that, I had so much of that. I mean, the bullhorns, the noise, I mean, it took a toll on me for a while of just having to go to those type of events and then being out in the sun and the heat. I mean, it was unforgiving. And so now I'm at a space where I just like, I can't. Even like the racial uprisings, like my heart goes out to reporters who was out there. Cause it's like, as someone who was doing that for so long, like consistently covering Gabriel racism, covering all of the anti-Trump, like that is exhausting. So yeah, but I go back to say that, like, when I think about the Dr. Oz event, there were demonstrators and protesters outside of that, and I would have probably went to cover the backlash, but the actual idea of being on the panel and like sitting at the row, like sitting on the row, with him, I just don't understand the point of that. That just to me was stupid. So, yeah. So into bad politics again, but also interesting. So WFP, which is the Working Families Party, they just rescinded some endorsements of some state representatives and elected officials, but particularly state reps that they endorsed, that were Democrats they endorsed, based on how they voted in the recent update to holding Krasner in contempt. So I am ecstatic about this. Working Families Party did endorse a lot of Democrats. Now, these were not Democrats that were a part of their party. Remember, they were Democrats. But some of the people they endorsed, people were like, huh, why they endorse this person? Well, they have now rescinded those endorsements of particular Democrats that they endorsed throughout the primary, and were not backing them because of their frustrations and disappointment with what they end up doing around Krasner. Because remember, I told you last week they voted to hold Krasner in contempt, and now this has happened. So, I'm shocked, but it's a big deal because a lot of those endorsements that took place, I was surprised that this was happening, and yeah, I just, words, just a lot. I think some of the people that they took the endorsements away from was in Philadelphia. I think it was Joe Hohenstein. Also Jamil Burgos, who was also a state rep in the area. a couple of other people throughout Pennsylvania, but those were two notable ones that I remember they rescinded endorsements from. And I've never heard of anything like that in a while. Like I have not heard that type of behavior of rescinding. So yes, the Working Families Party rescinded endorsements for legislators who censored Larry Krasner. Basically, this grassroots political group, they basically revoked its endorsements of 5 state legislators who voted with Republicans working to impeach the Philadelphia DA. Now, these people they announced was state reps Jessica Benham, Danilo Burgos, Nancy Guest, Emily Kinkhead, and Danielle Auden. And then in July, they withdrew support from Joe Hohenstein. So they took support from him in July when he voted Republicans to launch an investigation into Krasner. So it's big. They took them endorsements back. They revoked them. And you know what? I'm happy that they did that because the progressive movement, I'm very critical about how white progressives have been carrying. They've come after a lot of different black elected officials who, were, voting a certain way for whatever their politics were. But I always was like saying to myself, so what about the ones that you are endorsing who make these decisions? How do you stand by those people? Because what's good for the geese should be good for the gander. I mean, that's the theme for this fall. And so to see them deciding, yeah, that's a good point. I'm not saying directly to me, but I mean, clearly they thought about it. We need to keep that same energy. You can't get money or endorsement support and then vote certain types of ways, especially when it's not necessary. So, yeah, they're coming at some people hard. And the Working Families Party is, all across the country. They've had victory helping, Summer Lee win the open Democratic primary in Pennsylvania. Summer Lee is the vice chair of the congressional the Democratic Black Caucus of the House of Representatives of Pennsylvania. And Summer Lee's a state rep, but now she is a congressional candidate running for Congress. She looks like she's going to join the squad, looks like. She's a real strong progressive. And there's also others they've helped across the country. But Working Families Party is interesting. It's interesting to see what's going to happen. I wonder how this is going to shape up future elections to come. But, what can I say? So, into bad films. And this is very interesting because these bad films are very bad, but also good. I don't know. So let me get into it. Let me start with Don't Worry, Darling. So it's number one at the box office. It made $19 million at the box office, which is the same amount that The Woman King won. Earned last weekend. So Don't Worry, Darling, after all the media hype, it became number one at the box office and raised $19 million. Hated it. And to be honest, it's interesting what has happened with the results because a lot of people, said that there was no need to worry. The movie did its thing and it rivaled, it had off-screen drama. Okay. And it made $19.2 million. And then also internationally made another 10.8, which takes it to 30 million globally. Apparently the behind the scenes drama did not hurt people's interest in the film. But I just think it's the movie. It's an impressive debut for a lot of people because the movie was $35 million. Harry Styles was in it. It got a mediocre B- rating. But let me just start by saying the film wasn't all that. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't all that. The movie hype may have got you to see the movie, but it was underwhelming. All of the drama that happened behind the scenes, like Florence Pugh, she was good. She's a good actress, right? But like Harry Styles was just being insert white man in role. Very boring, very flat. The film does not do well at the end. Like the beginning builds up the suspense and then it just falls apart. What they do with the cast of color, like, Gemma Chan, she's a great actress. She was also in Crazy Rich Asians, which was an incredible film. there was also like another black actress that was in the film that the way they used her in the film was very disappointing. I don't want to tell it, but it just was not good. The film was just not good. It was just all this hype and then the fuck. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just very just for all of the budgeting and the hype around the film, all the talk, all this, you just walk away being like, this was not necessary. Um, who else was in it? I mean, Chris Pine. I mean, he was okay. But like this movie, honestly, if they made it streaming for HBO Max, I would have probably appreciated it more. But just going to the movie theaters and seeing it and seeing a screener of it just was just very underwhelming. I was not that impressed personally. Not a fan. Wasn't crazy about it. Okay. Do I want to talk about this first? Yes. Tyler Perry's A Jasmine's Blues. Okay. It might have slipped under you all's radar. It kind of came out subtly. And so some of y'all may not even realize it came out. It's out on Netflix. And I had to go through an account to see it. Let me say this about this film. I guess I have to give compliments before I get into the messiness of it. Okay. So Tyler Perry finally made a movie. What I mean by a movie was that this was like the first time where I felt like the costumes and the wigs were decent. The cinematography was cool. The aesthetic of it felt like a movie. Like a movie. Because Tyler Perry productions, there's like a lot of hiccups. But this felt like, as far as its aesthetic, it looked like a movie, a really good movie. It had the potential. It looked like it looked very like it could be a good movie aesthetically. Like the set designs, the costumes, the hair. Maybe because he's working with unions now, I can imagine, okay, because Tyler Perry's anti-union history. You can Google that. But this movie looked like an actual movie. Because a lot of Tyler Perry's previous productions looked like they were direct-to-home videos. The quality of it. So let me just start by saying the set design, production design. I'm not saying Oscar worthy. It definitely isn't giving that. But it looked like, okay, a movie. Now let's get to the story. Tyler Perry says he's been working on this for over a quarter of a century, over 25 years. He's been working on this. I think he's since 1995. This was like the first film he wanted to make, but budget and everything he couldn't make. I don't know where Tyler Perry was in his life back then, but this film the story was horrible. It was a horrible story. The acting was like all over the place, right? There's some digestible acting, and then there's just some acting like, what the fuck is going on? I don't get it. What is happening? I mean, he plays into all the tropes. Tyler Perry cannot get out his own fucking way. And that's the problem with the Tyler Perry film. It's Tyler Perry. I mean, the script, the plot was trash. It was horrible. First of all, what is with him in Tragic Mulattoes? He loves a tragic mulatto tale. Does he not? Like, in every film he do, it's giving tragic mulatto. And I just was completely just baffled with the screenplay. The sad part with the actors were, I mean, the lead actor, he's a nice black man. He seems like a sweet guy. But this was just poor. I mean, the acting was flat. The woman who has the lead role, the tragic mulatto in question, the weird part about the movie, and I don't want to tell it. Do I want to tell it? I don't want to tell it. But what I will say is that it's a film that would have done a lot better. It would have been a better film to digest if they would have built on the actual chemistry. There was no chemistry. Now there were some good actors that had some spirit, but there were like there was no time for chemistry. The movie is basically a bunch of fucking trauma porn. It's misery. Like, it's this misery. It's like it's so pressed on trying to push the whole segregation racism times. Like, I don't know what it is about Tyler Perry, but I think it was just like a bad audition for a movie, like a Oscar. Like, it was just such a bad film. Like, the plot I mean, for us to go through everything we went through at the end of the film, I was like, okay, the ending was just like, what the fuck? That was stupid. But the movie, like the characters, right? These two, the way they frame it is giving like Romeo and Juliet, right? They shouldn't be lovers, like star-crossed lovers. They're not supposed to be together, but they can't resist each other. But like, I watched the whole film, and I'm just watching the chemistry, and you never actually, they hardly ever have time to like love each other. Like there's no real intimacy between them. The chemistry's not really there. It just looks like a dark-skinned man chasing after a high yellow woman that clearly likes to dabble and get her a little bit, but she also wants to uphold her white privilege. It was just messy. It was messy and just bad. It just poorly done. Just bad acting. There was some highlights, like the mother, the actress who plays the mother in the film. She's an incredible actress. She was the, hot lesbian lawyer attorney on How to Get Away with Murder with Viola Davis. Her and him had a good chemistry. She's in the film and she plays the mother of the lead actor, and she's great. She's good, but like it's sad because the rest of the cast is kind of like floating all over the place. And the crazy part is that the plot, you're supposed to fill in gaps in your head about some of the performances and things, but it just doesn't make any sense. And you can't really invest in the characters because there's just so much other shit going on that you really can't invest in them because there was no room to build up the love and the intimacy so that when things did go south, you could feel it. It was not enough room, enough time. It was like the hood version of The Notebook. And even The Notebook isn't that good of a film. Yes, I fucking said it. Someone's got to say it. The Notebook wasn't that good. However, what made you like the film was the chemistry. Okay, you liked the chemistry between the actors, which I hear apparently they didn't like each other on the set, but the chemistry between them made everything rock. Because I'm also going to say something also that's very taboo. Love and Basketball wasn't that good of a movie either. But the chemistry between the two of those characters is what drives it. Even Love Jones is a little like flat. But the chemistry between the two characters propels you to care about everything else, even if everything else doesn't make sense. This movie lacks no real chemistry between the two actors. The racial dynamics don't really get explained in some ways. There's a lot of just excessive trauma porn. I'm not even going to talk about that ending and what they did there. But like Tyler Perry, the only Oscar you're going to get is that humanitarian award that you got up there. I don't see if anything else you do. But apparently people like it and watch it and support it and whatever. But I'm just going to be watching. I'm going to just be hate watching Tyler Perry movies for the rest of my life. Get a writer's room. Get writers to help you. Get other directors. Get other people in the mix. You cannot do it all by yourself. You can, but it won't ever be quality. It won't ever be quality. You know what's disappointing is that for a guy who has all this money and these resources, okay, this man has all this money and all these resources. You would think that a man that was close to being a billionaire would have a better production, would actually invest more in what he puts out. It's just very disappointing. So I was not crazy about it. But to another bad film, and the worst film of this entire week for me, that Jeffrey Dahmer story on Netflix. Do not watch it. Do not support it. I'm not a fan. I went through it so you don't have to. People I know said they could barely make it through the whole episode, the first episode. It is a drag. And you know what? I am so tired of, I'm getting very over biopics in general. I am getting really over a lot of these like real historic fiction because now it's getting into this level where they're going for the deepest, most problematic, most triggering things to try to turn it into a film. And no one asked for the Jeffrey Dahmer story. There are tons of books and retellings and documentaries of this motherfucking monster. Like, I don't understand who asked for the Tweet 2. And I just don't understand what are we doing here. Like when we turn these people into like super villains and like we turn them into these interesting, fascinating people and to roles that are worth Emmys. Like, I don't know if that's what we should be doing here with a fucking mass murderer like him. I just don't know. It's not like Monster, which where Charlize Theron played Aileen Wuornos, who was a abused sex worker turned serial killer. That was a different type of film. Charlize Theron won that Oscar for Best Actress. It came out like 20 years ago. I remember watching it when I was in middle school and being fascinated with her performance. This is not that. And the issue with this is this like Ryan Murphy has just become that guy where he is just always going to look for the most sensational things. And I get it. Like in some cases, like the O.J. Simpson film was a moment, right? True crime story, American crime story. These types of things, sure. But I think after the assassination of Versace, I started to be like, okay, this guy Ryan Murphy I'm talking about. It just seems like he's just jumping on everything. I mean, impeachment. Now, I had my little personal bias for impeachment. I thought impeachment was fun to watch. But there were people even then just being like, man, can you give it a rest? Like, why do we have to keep revisiting this shit? And it can't, and I think in some cases, if it's not killing and murder, but I just feel like now we're doing Jeffrey Dahmer. And the next thing you know, it'll be Rob Manson, the rest of that stuff. And it's just like, what are we doing here? Like, is this educational or entertainment? Is this entertaining? Because we all know how it ends. And there's nothing about this that really gives me, restorative justice. It reminds me of how frustrated I was with When They See Us. That was a film, Ava DuVernay directed it, that I saw once and done. And a lot of people, were saying that they didn't appreciate it. They didn't want to go through that. They didn't want to watch that. They didn't even think it was necessary. And, I watched it and it was a moment. And of course it won that performance for Jerome, I think it is. And he won, and it was the first Afro Latino actor of his age to win the Emmy for Best Performance. It was a big damn deal when he won. I was very happy for him. He was in Moonlight in a role that was, he was the backstabbing lover of our main character, Chiron. But yeah, I just don't know if this. I mean, I remember how I felt when They See Us came out. I saw it one time and I didn't want to see it again. And I also feel like where we're at right now, there's too much real shit going on in the world that I just feel like Jeffrey Dahmer's story and all this is just kind of like, why? And so I'm not a fan of it. I don't know what Golden Globe nominations will get or whatever, but I think people are fading off of it. I think we're fading off of it. I think we want fiction, we want fun, and good stories that are deep, right? But I think we're getting back into like we want scripts and we don't want like a bunch of biopics. Like even this upcoming Blonde, the Marilyn Monroe biopic, which I didn't even know she had another one, but it's just so grotesque with nude and talking fetuses. It's just such a stupid film. Again, Arma de Armas performance in it. Everyone's talking about an Oscar worthy this, Oscar worthy that. I'm just sick of it. I'm sick of just a lot of the revisionist history that takes place in these bios, and like how oftentimes they're never serving the purpose that people think they're going to serve, but just another way to just reinvent. Like, where are the creative writers? I need fiction. I need Abbott Elementary. I need more things that are not rooted necessarily in people trying to rewrite history to just sensationalize off of it and turn to something it's not. I'm just getting over it, personally. So, those are my things, my thoughts on those things. But Rihanna, okay? Rihanna is leading the Super Bowl. She's doing the Super Bowl halftime show, the NFL Super Bowl halftime show in February. Rihanna is going to be there doing the show. Now, for those of you all who know how I feel about the NFL, it is still fuck the NFL. The only reason why I care about this is because of the fact that she is most likely to have new music. And so I'm excited that this is Rihanna's way of telling us that new music is coming, and that is not floating in the sky. Because listen, it's been over 5 years since we got Anti. It's been a drought out here. It's been 6 years. It'll be 7 years next. It's been a while, almost over half a decade since we got new Rihanna music, like for an album. So her comeback, like I don't care about this halftime show. I'm excited about the fact of knowing that today is Rihanna announces new music is coming by February day. Like she is going to come out and drop a new single. Clearly, most artists that do the Super Bowl are promoting new music in something. So I'm excited to know that she's not playing, that she's gearing up, and this is going to be a good time. Now, there was speculation that Taylor Swift was going to perform at the halftime show, but Taylor Swift has turned it down, allegedly, because of the fact that she says that she wants all of her music, she wants to redo all her music, which could take a while. I mean, she wants to do all of her albums and have all of that out, because she knows that right now, royalties and streams for her hit songs will not be geared towards the albums of her life, but helping people like Scooter Braun and those who have the rights to original music because they wouldn't sell it to her. So now she has to redo all of her albums, which she's already done Fearless over again. She's done Red over again. But I think 1989 is in the works allegedly. But then she also needs to do Speak Now, and she needs to do Reputation, it sounds like. Those are the last two albums she'll have to do because she's already done Fearless. She needs to do self-titled if she chooses to do self-titled. The self-titled Taylor Swift album, she will have to do a self-titled album all over again for sure too. I mean, maybe some holiday albums if she's up for it. But I know that after Reputation, everything was under a new label. So Lover, all of Folklore, Evermore, all of those albums are under the new label, and she owns her masters to that. But and also she's done Fearless and Red, so she's got a couple more albums she's got to do. I believe it's Speak Now, Reputation, and 1989. Those are the ones that she has to redo. So 3 more albums to go, and then after that, most likely she'll be ready to do the Super Bowl for sure. But Rihanna is definitely ready. She's ready for her solo debut. But yeah, I don't fuck with the NFL, so I'll probably see clips of it or something. But I'm steady. But that was. I see what y'all did there, NFL. I see what y'all did there, though. Y'all knew what y'all was doing with that enticement. I mean, next to Beyonce, I see what y'all was doing. Y'all really trying to divide the girls. I also am curious about her perspectives because Rihanna was very much not fucking with the NFL either. So personally, I'm a little curious to see what's changed her mind. Clearly, it's going to come up because she was really one of those people that was really standing with Kaepernick. So maybe something changed. Maybe there's a new deal. Everyone said the check must be ginormous. But let's also be clear, the NFL does not pay artists. They don't pay artists to perform there. So we'll see what else could have been at works. But, we'll get to what happened. Also following up, Tiffany Haddish has found there's been the family accusing Ariel Spears and Tiffany Haddish of indecent, behavior with, child abuse, basically, sex abuse charges and all the claims and allegations. They've dropped it and want to move on. And, Tiffany Haddish has told people that her career is over, that she's been getting canceled for jobs, stuff has been falling down. So other people also said, wow, there'll be no charges, so that means it's over. She should be good now. Y'all, do y'all know how settlements work? Because I personally think, in my opinion, okay, that there could have allegedly been a settlement done. I don't know for a fact, but I can imagine that there was some on the table agreements being made because we all saw the clip. At the end of the day, regardless of what everyone wants to say, whatever, Tiffany wants to say, whatever, that clip that was on Funny or Die was disgusting and inappropriate. And regardless of whether or not the family was okay with it, whatever the case was, it was not okay. It was still problematic. And, the fact that it got taken down the way it did, and the fact that people held them to that standard speaks very volumes. So I'm very, happy to see that, that hopefully there was some resolve there. But I'm done with Tiffany Haddish. I mean, I've always had my hangups on her, but that shit that she just recently pulled definitely was a turnoff, and I was not here for it. So, yeah, whatever. So on Good TV, Good Things, because my bestie Amanda has recently said that this right now is the new golden age of television. Like, really, TV has been making me happy. Films have been up and down, as you can see, but there's been some good TV, okay? Because Abbott Elementary just premiered, and oh my God, there is cameos. I did not know this, but I gotta have a little bit more love for Gritty. Gritty, okay, who is the NHL mascot, the big old orange furry monster. He is a Libra. Gritty is a Libra, y'all. And just had his birthday this weekend, okay, for late Libra season. His birthday is on September 24th. Gritty is a Libra. So Gritty made an appearance on Abbott Elementary. That's all I'm going to say. And he made an appearance on the premiere. Abbott is coming strong. The new season is back, season 2, and you can tell that they knew they were onto something with this show. And the energy and the vibes and the characters are stronger. And I'm excited. I hear that Leslie Odom Jr., who is the Tony Award winning actor, who also, I mean, Tony Award winning, Oscar nominated actor 2 times. He was nominated for Best Supporting Actor and was nominated for Best Original Song for One Night in Miami for both of that role. He played Sam Cooke. And he could sing. He was singing, I was born. The ending of that film, it's on Amazon Prime if you want to watch it. It is good, and he was great in it. But like I said before, and also Regina King should be nominated for Best Director, but that's another story for another day. He is making a cameo. He has a guest starring role on it. Maybe he'll win an Emmy for Best Guest Actor. Okay? Because I think that dude could get an EGOT. I really think Leslie Odom Jr. has it in him to get an EGOT. I mean, he's been nominated. He's won a Grammy. He's won a Tony. And I believe he's already won an Emmy. So he actually needs an Oscar. He won a Daytime Emmy for something related to Hamilton. He won a Grammy for Hamilton's soundtrack. And he also won for his performance in it, playing Aaron Burr, which I'm so happy he won for, again, because that was one of those positions where, like, Lin-Manuel Miranda was nominated for Best Actor for playing Alexander Hamilton. And people always think Alexander Hamilton's lead role. It's actually 2 lead roles. It's Aaron Burr and Alexander Hamilton. And Aaron Burr is a more, vocally challenging performance. No shade. Just keep it 100. So I'm happy he won the award. And he's also from like Overbrook or like Philly or something like that. So I think it was a Masterman, I believe. But anyway, Leslie Odom Jr. is incredible. He'll probably get another Emmy. Let's see. Maybe get another Emmy nomination. But he's close to EGOT, like for real, like 3 out of 4. And the only thing he needs left is an Oscar. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But anyway, Abbott is great. Been watching Atlanta. Atlanta is the final season, y'all. It is strong. It is strong, strong, strong. And, I kind of miss how this show, I'm just happy, I have my thoughts about what happened in Atlanta because the first 2 seasons of Atlanta were iconic, classic, and then they took that little detour break because, Donald Glover had all this stuff he had going on with his career. He got big on everybody, took some breaks, and the cast did too. The cast is good. Everybody's got some stuff going on. Zazie Beetz, she got stuff going on. That other guy, Brian Henry, I mean, he's also doing some good stuff. And of course, how could I forget Lakeith Stanfield, who is Oscar nominated. But Brian Tyree Henry, again, great. Zazie Beetz is doing her thing. And Donald Glover, I mean, all 4 of them are strong. They've done... their careers have manifest since the show came out in 2016. This final season has been really, really good. I really, really like it. I'm gonna miss it. A lot of good shows are coming in, but a lot of good shows are coming out. Just like Queen Sugar is this final season, which it is ending. I mean, I really like Queen Sugar. I guess it's time. I wasn't ready for Greenleaf to go, y'all, for those who remember Greenleaf. But Queen Sugar is on OWN, and it's in this final season, and these episodes have been really, really good. I just love the cast, but a lot of them are also growing too. So, But Baddies, if anybody watches Zeus Network, this is the bad but good TV, guilty pleasure TV. Listen, Baddies is going to be Baddies is going to be a lot. This finale, I've been waiting for this finale. It's on Zeus. I cannot wait to watch it. And Bobby, I Love You, Purr. I don't know why I watched this show because Bobby is not entertaining. But I think Rolling Ray, who is this influencer, he's a disabled influencer who is just hilarious. He's a comedian. He's like comedy gold. He is on the show as helping Bobby find love. And I think he would drive me to watch the show every weekend. Because he just comes with the jokes. And he's just perfect timing, perfect humor. So big fan of him. But yeah, I mean, that's where I'm at with shows and everything. But as always, it's great doing this podcast and, just catching up. And next week is New York. So, I got the tea for New York. I got all the tea for next week. There's so many events happening this week, influencer events for folks and going out, but I am focused. I am going to one of my favorite restaurants in Philly. Friday Sessions is my favorite restaurant in Philly, but I'm going to Vernick. Vernick is turning 10 years old. The Vernick right there on Walnut is turning 10 years old this upcoming week. So they got a brand new menu coming out. Super excited to try it. Bunch of other surprises coming along the way as always. Do not forget to mark your calendar for February 16th, 2023 And also, before I conclude and wrap up, if you have not put a rating for the show, please, please, please give it a 4-star rating, a 5-star rating, the highest rating you can. Go on Apple scores. Okay, I mean all the other ones are great. Google is great too. Show some Google love. But for Apple and Apple ratings, give it a rating. If you are listening to the show and you love what you listen to, please make sure you give it a rating because that also just helps spread visibility for the show, of course, and for the podcast. And, as always, enjoy the fall. And as I always say, be well and be best. Ernestly Speaking is recorded in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. To stay up to date with the latest on the show, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Mr. Ernest Owens. Use the hashtag Ernestly Speaking to tell me what you thought about this episode, and check out my website at ernestowens.com.